keeping myself up because I don't want them to see my shirt. Yeah, that
that's good. I'm too far to the left. You need to move over.
Okay.
Just a little bit. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond the
Restart.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond the Party Lines. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Beyond the Party Lines. My name is Ethan Shea.
And my name is Michael Obishai.
And we are both rising seniors from Massachusetts.
We decided to start the podcast because I didn't know.
Take the phone on.
Dickhead.
I'm not wrong. Hello, everybody. Oh, okay. No. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Beyond the Party Lines. My name is Ethan Wubichet.
My name is Ethan Wubichet.
I didn't even realize. Our first topic for our first episode will be the mistrust on both sides from the media. The facts. Everybody considers the media to be biased in one way or another. Charlie Sykes used to run a conservative talk show and critique the media heavily for being so biased. Mr. Sykes, who says that he stands by much of his critique of the mainstream media, now concedes that years of relentlessly bashing it have left the country without any trusted sources of information. Quote, as a conservative talk show host, one of our themes has always been to bash the mainstream media, to point out the bias. But this is the moment you wake up and you go, okay, have we done such an effective job that when I say, for example, what Donald Trump said here is demonstrably false, and here's the fact check from the New York Times or the Washington Post, we now have an audience that's conditioned to say, well, as the mainstream media, that's a liberal media, I'm not going to take that seriously. And the same holds true the opposite way, where you have someone who goes, oh, that is mainstream, that is the conservative media, like Fox News, I'm not going to take that seriously either. The result is the country in which there are no final arbiters of truth. You begin to realize you basically cut down all of these guideposts to be able to say, look, this is what's reliable and this is what is not reliable, end quote. And again, this is quoted from a New York Times article and published on October 23rd, 2016. Now, the result is that in our world, truth is absolutely relative. There's no platonic form of truth. So, what's the solution?
What's the solution? I think that the solution is to I feel like this is a very great issue when looking at it. I feel like it kind of goes into like the skepticism that many like citizens and people who watch mainstream media have over the people that are giving their news, and especially during like our political climate and how like polarized the political parties have been, and how many issues like coincide within each political party. A lot of believers of their specific political party are skeptical about what the other political party is telling about. So I also kind of want to hear your thoughts about this. Like, what I think a better question to pose instead of saying how to solve this issue is like addressing the root of the issue, which is the skepticism or like the kind of scared feeling that a lot of individuals have over the other political party.
Well, to answer that question, it stems from the root of the problem, which is that at some level, mainstream media has become, extremely biased, and is looking for those, very clicky very clicky headlines. Donald Trump said this crazy thing. Donald Trump said that that climate change is not real, for whatever the title is. They're looking for this super catchy title for people to click on it, because it's boring. They're not going to click on it, and that's what mainstream media has grown to be, and it has strayed far from what the founders in it initially expected, the freedom of the press. What the press was not like this crazy name, this crazy headline. So I think the solution is to, because it's not going to change it, the solution is to accept it for what it is. It is an article. It is a biased article. But in every piece of bullshit, there is some element of truth. And I think that our job as informed voters and informed people in general, we should be able to look at this article and we go, this is consistent with what I've heard. This is not consistent with what I've heard. And you can go to different media sources and fact check it. For example, there are places online where you can find a list of news sources that they consider biased left, biased right, or unbiased. And if you find, let's say, a piece of media from CNN, you can go and then look, say, in the AP, the Associated Press, has been considered, pretty moderate, maybe slightly left-leaning, but if the Associated Press corroborates it, then maybe if two different sources are corroborating the same piece of information, and they're not exactly on the same side of the political spectrum, then you should be able to trust that information. And you shouldn't just trust whether the clickbait or whatever comes out across your TikTok or Instagram, because now, of course, a lot of these sources have these topics, but the articles are still at the heart of the messages.
And I think also, to add on to that point, I feel like individuals and citizens in general who want to make an educated vote should also look into the type, like the form of the media that they're looking at, right? Like if individuals are getting all their information from like Charlie Kirk debates, then like we should really like go back and think about what we're actually watching.
Oh yeah,
right?
Of course, because Charlie Kirk doesn't have
exactly
the means to fact check everything he's saying. He's just pulling a lot of different a lot of different sources, exactly. Like sources and data, and is misconstruing this data in these quick, like for example, the Jubilee debates are a terrible form for people to understand the political spectrums, because one, it's so heavily biased towards Charlie Kirk or whoever's in the middle is, because everybody else is inexperienced and it's not on the same page, and they're all trying to get like a piece of the pie.
Exactly.
They're competing with each other for time to debate against Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk has to keep like knocking down the kingpin. Like, it's so easy for him to knock him down.
Yeah.
So sorry for interrupting.
No,
but sorry. Yeah.
You're good. Yeah, and I think, like, adding on to that point, I think that individuals should be more careful as to seeing the types of mainstream media that is being, like, shown, right? Like, obviously, like, overarching, all mainstream media has some form of bias, but the type of media that's being produced by Fox News or CNN at certain points may be less biased than others, right? If there's a specific like talk show host that's being brought, like a Democratic talk show host, right? Then like obviously the topics that are going to be talked about during that talk show are going to be more liberal like sided, right? But probably your everyday news to news or the type of media that CNN usually produces may not be as biased as like a talk show host, as I've said. So like kind of like trying to decipher what media is like innately biased is another like method that a lot of voters can use to kind of like fiddle through all the forms of like political biases that may be found in information.
Yeah. So like a personal story from both of us is that like, we both do public forum debate. We both debate in Massachusetts. I've personally been to like debates where I've like looked, I pulled a piece of evidence out, and my opponent in the rebuttal would just say, "Oh, well that's from CNN. That's you can't believe that because that's from CNN, or that's from Fox. You can't believe that." And it really makes me angry. Like when I've done my due diligence and I had this I have this like quote that's corroborated by several different news stations, and someone just kind of swipes aside as saying that it's not it's not reliable, and the impact for us at least, and this might be a little shallow, but like in Massachusetts at least, for public forum debates, our debates are usually judged by parents of fellow debaters who have their own biases and who might not necessarily have the same like intent to really learn what they're saying. And my parents tell me that I've lost because I've used sources they don't trust, which that in itself, like, it just really pisses me off, because you shouldn't just discount a whole news source because of some piece of media that they've like misconstrued or tried to like tie to their side, because every media does that. Every mainstream media does that nowadays. And back to my point earlier, you just have to find out what's really true and corroborate it. All right, I think we can move on to the second one. Let's see anything.
Sounds good.
So I'll let you take the second.
Of course. So our second topic is how Trump has eliminated certain news stations or wire services. And these are the facts. No other president has ever outright banned a wire service from the White House press corps, but restrictions have been placed before, but never bans. The Associated Press, the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, and Reuters were all banned at some point or another from the White House press coverage.
In the last 6 months.
As of right now, they have all regained privileges, but a key difference is that they used to have reserved seating in the press pool, but then they got banned. Fortunately, that has been reversed after the courts ordered that the wire services be allowed into the press corps based on the First Amendment right of the freedom of press. In quotes, the White House press secretary will maintain day-to-day authority to determine the composition of the pool. This is essential to ensure that the president's message reaches specific audiences and that appropriate subject matter expertise is present as events unfold. End quote. Caroline Levitt, April 2025, stating how they will now pick who is going to be a part of the press corps. With the banning of these wire services, is Donald Trump trying to figure out or trying to test how far it can go?
Thank you for that.
Of course.
I remember something from earlier, from our last topic, before I answer this question, is if anything we say in this podcast you feel is not true, or you have found evidence from different sources that discredits what we said, like, please let us know. Like, I will put my email on the screen at the end of this podcast, or my number, and just send us a text or send us an email, like telling us that we got this wrong. Because again, we're high school students. We know a bit. We've done the research, but we don't know everything. So, depending on how many people see this, like, if there's something that you think that we've said is wrong, and you can find evidence against it, please send us an email, put the link to the evidence there, and we'll take a look at it and we'll address it in the next podcast when we get it.
And if you do want to be a part of the podcast and have an episode in the podcast, and you see as if some of our ideologies or the way that we present some certain information is wrong, or in your opinion wrong, shoot us an email, text us, and let us know, and we'll be happy to bring you on the podcast as well.
Yeah, we're very open to having people like opposite with like opposing views. For example, like one of my, one of the biggest things I respect, like for example, Joe Rogan for is that Joe Rogan is a right-leaning podcast, and then yet he hosts people like Bernie Sanders, and he's very fair about how they talk about the topics, and then they have a good conversation about it, discussion, and overall like that is what democracy is built on. That like discussion is what it's built on. Now back to this question with these wire services.
Should we reset? Let me restate the question just in case.
All right. Yes.
Should I say it? Okay. Cool. All right. So the question was, after hearing all the information about the press corps being banned and media being censorized, is with banning these wire services, is he, who's Donald Trump, trying to test how far he can go?
So I think that they have multiple reasons for doing this. One of the reasons is that they are trying to censor, some parts of the media, liberal media, for example, like the Associated Press, still left-leaning, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, Reuters, all somewhat left-leaning media sources. Mm-hmm. So by banning them after releasing pieces that he may not have liked, that is him trying to censor the media. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's like him necessarily trying to test how far he can go. Like maybe it is like if you take it in context along with like the birthright citizenship and other, like, to the next topic, but birthright citizenship, illegal deportations, the Iranian strikes, like a lot of these topics, a lot of these like actions maybe may like be construed as him testing how far he could go, or it could just be him like doing what he wants to do. So I'm not particularly sure. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I think I'll also say that as much as it may be him, as much as the media and like individuals may be projecting how he's trying to censor the media, I feel like it is also just the conservative and the Republican Party that's trying to, in turn, like censor Donald Trump from saying something to certain media sources, because Donald Trump has notoriously been known for saying things very impulsively, right? I mean, I think
China virus.
Yeah, right. Like, there's so many. Like, climate change isn't real. I was the best president for African Americans since Abraham Lincoln. Like, Donald Trump is known for saying things that are outright like outrageous, right? And this is in some cases, hurt his political campaign. So, in a way, by trying to censor these media platforms and trying to like limit the amount that Donald Trump can actually say, I feel like the party, like the Republican Party, is trying to help the political campaign, trying to reform and try to paint a new image where they're not as, I don't know how I could, like, not as controversial as the Donald Trump may put them to be.
All right. that was a small. I think that was a smaller topic than like media bias.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cut and dry. Like him banning certain news stations, like outright banning them, is a violation of the First Amendment, which many courts have found true.
Unconstitutional.
Yeah, so it's unconstitutional and it's kind of cut and dry. So yeah, I think we move into our last topic, and I'll be introducing the facts for this one.
Okay.
Because my voice is way better.
Yes, it is.
So
Yes, it is your voice.
last topic. Speaking of voices, let's get a water. Let's get a water break first. Hydrate or dihydrate. It's summer right now in Massachusetts.
Come on, boy.
Very muggy.
You know that. Hold on, wait. Can we get a little Dunkin'? Can we get a little Dunkin' accent in here too? Hey, shout out to Dunkin' Donuts. We're sponsored too.
No, we're not.
We're not sponsored. Not yet.
If you'd like to, please let us know.
Let us know.
All right. So our last topic for today.
Okay.
You done?
I'm done.
Our last topic for today is trying to end birthright citizenship in the United States. Now, the facts. This is taken directly from the 14th Amendment. Of Section 1 of the 14th Amendment, quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So, what I take this basically to mean, and I think what the more important part is that all persons born naturally in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. That's the main part where I like to focus. I think many people are focusing on that first sentence. Now, Trump's legal argument is that the phrase "subject to the jurisdiction thereof" means that the government can make the decision on what group of people are deemed born U.S. citizens. For example, right now, I believe in his executive order, he said that. What was it? He said that any person born in the United States with at least one parent who is. All right. Okay. Well.
Are we back on?
So.
We kind of got cut off.
We got cut off.
It's all right, though.
We're gonna restart the third topic. Back to water. Cause I just read a lot of words.
Come on, read. And water.
Too many words. So. Oh, I've not been holding the phone. So. Our third topic is how Donald Trump tried to end birthright citizenship in the United States. Now, this is quoted directly from Section 1 of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. Quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Now, what I take this to mean is that the first two sentences where it says that all persons born and naturalized in the U.S. and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, meaning the jurisdiction of the U.S., are citizens of the U.S. and of the state where they reside. Now, Trump's legal argument is that the phrase "subject to the jurisdiction thereof" means that the government can make the decision on what group of people are deemed born U.S. citizens. Now, right now, I believe the current definition is saying that children who are born in the United States with at least one U.S. parent are considered U.S. citizens. They can retain their birthright citizenship, but without it, if both parents are undocumented or not U.S. citizens, then they should not be allowed to gain citizenship in the United States. And I personally disagree with this argument. Is that because subject to the jurisdiction thereof, when taken in context of the Constitution, means that people born or naturalized in the U.S. and subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. are citizens, is what I take that to mean. He said Trump says that the reason for this is that birthright citizenship is a magnet for illegal immigration. And what he's kind of saying is referring to what I know as anchor babies. I know anchor babies is a kind of controversial term. It's a controversial term in general, but I do believe it kind of applies here because it has been shown that if you are a child born of two undocumented parents, your parents receive leniency on the immigration status, and they get a long time to try to gain citizenship, even though they came over. Not okay. I don't want to say illegal because no human is illegal, but when they came over where they were not supposed to, or when they were not supposed to, when they did not have the right to, and they will receive leniency through deferred action in the court. So this is a more heavy topic. So I want to break this into whether it's right constitutionally or practically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the easier one is to tackle it constitutionally and to say that absolutely not. Anybody who passed high school English knows that when you say all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States, subject to the jurisdiction thereof means subject to U.S. jurisdiction. It does not mean that the U.S. government can decide who is and who is not a citizen, or who is born a citizen there. Michael, anything to add to that?
I mean, I think it's cut and dry, really. I personally agree. I mean, it says in the first sentence, right? All people who are naturalized or born within the United States and subject to the jurisdiction, which in my context, again, like Ethan said, are subject to the actions and the
subject to the laws.
Subject to the laws, exactly.
They have to follow the law. I mean, yes, any tourist has to follow the laws, but like if you are coming to the U.S. and you're born in the U.S., you have to follow the United States laws if you want to be a U.S. citizen, especially if you want to be a U.S. citizen. Yeah, because we don't really deport or exile people generally. We deport tourists who don't have their visas right. We deport undocumented immigrants in certain cases where, again, it's a wide spectrum, but at a certain level, like this is going to practical part of the argument, but if there are criminals coming over to the U.S. to seek shelter from their homeland, and they are criminals, I personally feel that you should deport them. Now the question becomes, where do you draw the line between a criminal and what type of criminal? Do you draw the line from like a criminal who's did someone steal bread or rice because they wanted to start starving, and that's a criminal? It's a criminal act, right? Or is it someone who raped and murdered their way through a rural village somewhere in South or Latin America or Asia or Africa or Europe, any continent except Antarctica? But yeah, I think constitutionally it's pretty clear that it is not constitutional, and that's what many courts have decided. Unfortunately, the Trump administration found a loophole around that by going to SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, and getting them to say that. And it's important. This is an important distinction for everybody to know. The Supreme Court did not rule that Trump is allowed to ban birthright citizenship or change the definition. They ruled that a federal court in one state cannot make a decision for the entire country, which, there are legal ramifications for that. And at a certain point, I do agree that the federal court in Massachusetts shouldn't be able to dictate what goes on in Texas, Texas and Florida, but vice versa. A court in Texas should be able to control what happens in California.
That's right.
So I think the Supreme Court did at the end make the right decision. I just think that the entire time the topic of what they were talking about was not the right topic.
I think also to kind of transition, because we've been talking about whether it's constitutional or unconstitutional, and I think me and Ethan, apologies, generally share the same views about how it's unconstitutional. I think any individual with common sense would understand that that's unconstitutional. But to kind of transition into how practical this is and the methods that the Trump administration has been going through to try to establish some forms of a method to deport individuals that they seem as not, correct U.S. citizens in their eyes, I guess.
Okay.
Obviously, what I'm referring to is ICE, the federal agency.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement, yes.
Indeed. And I'll say that practically, I'll say in the context of the Trump administration, I think that the method that the Trump administration has gone through to enforce this is wrong and immoral as well. The ICE federal agency has been known to not go into deep research as to actually like finding out the actual crimes.
Yes.
Actually finding out the actual crimes that individuals have committed. On top of that as well, there's accounts of them taking like
children,
exactly. There's an individual in Massachusetts.
There was a visual
volleyball.
The
volleyball player, exactly.
Yeah, and also, come back. There was I don't know how much news is made nationally, but Massachusetts, it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, there was a graduate student at Tufts University.
Oh, that too.
So she's Palestinian. I believe she's somewhere from the Middle East. Yes, yeah. And she is Muslim.
Indeed.
So what she wrote in the school's newspaper. Actually, it wasn't proven that she wrote anything. Her name was added to a list of collaborators on an article posted in the Tufts student newspaper saying, "Oh, the Tufts administration has not done enough to, stop the crimes happening in Gaza, alleged crimes. Sorry, we don't. This is something for later. We don't want to take sides right now. So, alleged crimes taking place in Gaza. There's the accusation. There is proof, but we will revisit that on a later date.
Of course.
But free speech. She's here on a student visa.
Yeah.
She's got all her documents.
Does?
She's accessing free. She didn't even say anything. It's not proven that she said anything, and she was deported. I think they took her to Louisiana.
They did.
A Massachusetts judge said ICE do not take her outside of Massachusetts, and ICE went, nope, Louisiana. Yeah. Now, since then, she's been returned, thankfully.
Yeah.
But it's a scary process. She's still in court fighting this.
Yeah, and I think, like in that sense, I can't say to a solution that because I don't believe there is a practical solution that the Trump administration could take to establish something like this. So I can't give a solution, but I can, as far as to speak to the solution that the Trump administration is currently doing, I believe it's immoral, I believe it's unpractical, and I believe that it's a faulty system in general, and it reflects truly, in my opinion, the racist ideologies that the Trump administration has, right? The racial profiling, as well as not taking the effort to truly understand what an individual has done or not done, but simply looking at an individual or looking at the fact that they're undocumented and then simply trying to actually lie and say that they have committed a crime and then just deport them.
Like the girl from Tufts.
Like the girl from Tufts, like the individual, I believe there was also an individual, I forgot from what specific.
But they arrested a kid when they were looking for the dad.
Exactly.
He was 17. He's a high school junior.
Yeah.
But
you see, he plays volleyball too, so shout out to that too. Shout out to that.
The last thing I want to say practically is that while we're not experts in the effects that undocumented immigration has had in our country, I believe that Mike will agree with me that it is an issue at some level. It is not an extremely urgent or dire issue where the Trump administration does not have the tools and time and resources to take the time. And in fact, as I said this earlier, right, criminals, like real criminals, like not like I stole rice because I'm hungry, but like real criminals who came to the United States, members of cartels, etc., were coming to the United States, smuggling with drugs. And I know the statistics about people, like Americans actually doing that more than cartels, but still, people like that who come over to the United States should be caught and should be processed and deported to a different country where they don't have the opportunity to do this to the United States, and that we do have time. It's not an urgent issue. So then the practical issue, right? The practical solution right now is to take a beat. Stop deporting anybody and everybody you think that you could deport, and really start thinking and looking at who you should deport. Not could, but should, is my vote.
And I think this is also the next couple of things that I'm going to talk about as well have to do in general with the approach that the Trump administration has had, which is also the development of some form of camps or jail that they're doing for the individuals that are caught by ICE, which I don't know.
It's very reminiscent of the internment camps of Japan, the Japanese citizens, which again, that is a widely acknowledge U.S. failure, domestic failure. And my proof for that is that the U.S. paid out reparations, I believe in the 80s, to the descendants or the people actually in those internment camps, or to the descendants of people in those camps.
Yeah.
So stuff like that is not practically, not constitutionally, morally. It is morally wrong.
I don't think any individual should be treated in that form of way. And also, I'll say one thing. I see that this also reinforces, like, I can't stress it enough. It reinforces the systemic racism that is within the United States. That the United States has been so, like, arguably trying to stray away from, and that it has progressing along in the future, and has been, trying to create a better system. It not only increases the systemic racism within America, but it also increases the skepticism that marginalized group has over the federal government. So many people, so many African Americans, I could say personally, say that they don't trust the police or something like that. Or a lot of other marginalized groups that I personally can't speak of.
Like in the Asian community, I would say personally, but I've developed the idea, I've heard the idea from others, where, like, we don't go to the police because, one, like, they don't understand us, they won't treat us seriously. Like, again, we have different issues than the African American community, but especially after the aftermath of COVID, like, we don't get taken seriously enough. But I think, unless you have something dire to say, I think we should move on. And before we move on, I want to clarify. I want to give a clarification. So, to anybody who's watching this, again, we're two high schoolers from Massachusetts. We, I think it's fair to say Michael leans left politically. I do lean left on some of these issues, but I also draw a distinction between real republicanism and Trumpism, what I call it now Trumpism.
That's fair. I do that. Yeah. That's why I'm always referring to. Sorry, can I say something? Yeah. That's why when I'm usually referring to the policies that I don't necessarily agree with. A very hard distinction that I try to make from the points that I'm talking about is, like, the Trump administration versus the Republican Party in general. So
So we're high schoolers. Michael leans left. I like to think I'm moderate, but I probably lean left too on certain issues. But there are if you have any views that you want to bring on the podcast, we really would be. We were laughing at it earlier, but if you have something genuine you want to say and it's against our beliefs, and you have you have your beliefs, you have well-founded research beliefs that you believe are true, shoot us an email. Also, in the future, we will have other people on the podcast with differing views. We may or may not have a debate. We're both big debate guys, so we do that. Also, one more thing is that you might notice this computer is out. So, as far as preparing for this podcast, please give us feedback on what you think we should do better and how we should change it. But as far as this podcast goes, we have the facts. Every time we say the facts, we have that written down. We're reading directly from that. But when we have to say we ask a question to the other person, that's off the cuff. We've done our research, but neither of us has talked about what our solution would look like. Which is why you might see me reaching over the phone to Michael to the guy on the phone from me. We don't exactly know what the other person's gonna say, and I think that really brings not rusticness, but humanness. It's not scripted. This isn't a speech for you guys. This is a conversation between me and Michael where we don't necessarily know what the other person's gonna say. We don't want someone to be I didn't know that. Because of course we've done the research together. We both looked at this list of facts. We've done the research together, but we are we're trying our best. Yeah. And we will take any and all advice and criticism that you guys have.
I think also relating it to the first topic that we talked about, media coverage and stuff like that, and political bias.
Oh, right? Yeah, we suffer from that too. I feel sorry. I think we do more research. We definitely do more research than the average American on certain topics, but
take it into consideration of what we've talked about and how that.
Take it with a grain of salt.
There we go. Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt, right? We're high school students again. We do a lot of research. We're very passionate about political activism, and we truly want the world to become a better place. But obviously, the things that we're talking about and the political ideologies that we share may differ from yours. And we in general obviously have our own implicit biases, which may not stir the information, but may project the information in a different way than most viewers may, comprehend. So please do your own research. If you think that our research is flawed, again, what Ethan said, let us know. Our emails will be attached right here. No, I don't know if we're gonna edit that. But just please let us know.
Yeah. Oh, one more minor topic. So me and Micah both talk extremely quickly from debate. For example, I will give you an example. For public forum debate, it is terrible how quick we have to talk. So for example,
oh, you're gonna give them the speech?
Oh yeah.
Oh, come on.
All persons born and naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any laws which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Now, to you, that might sound like gibberish. To us, we both understood what I just said because we've been trained to talk like that. So, if we're making a conscious effort to talk slower and slower. Yeah, and a lot of our speeches, like at school, like we will put like slower, slow down,
yeah.
like in all caps in the middle of our speech just to remind us.
Yeah.
But we don't have that here because we know we're going off the dome. So if you feel we're talking too quickly,
let us know.
And we'll do our best to fix it.
Indeed.
But so the last topic is what I said our ending segment was going to be is the policy that we're going to fix. Yeah. And I'll let Michael introduce this one.
Of course. So the policy that we want to fix is food waste in America. Now, these are the facts. Commercial parties are responsible. Commercial practices are responsible for 30 to 40% of food waste. This is perfectly good food. It isn't half a sandwich that Johnny threw away, but perfectly fine produce, meat, and any other grains that aren't up to consumer standard. It usually becomes cheaper to throw it away than donate it or repurpose it, which is the reason why a lot of these commercial practices that fall under the railroad capitalism system do. And commercial definition, the definition of commercial companies
in our views,
yeah, is distributors, farmers, and retail stores.
So, yeah, just to kind of build on that a little bit, it's not like we made a little joke with Johnny's sandwich, but I hope some of you have seen these dumpster divers going behind a Stop and Shop or wherever you live, Market Basket, Kroger, Shaw's, whatever, and finding perfectly good packages of produce, fruit, meat, whatever, grains, yogurt, all this stuff is just thrown away, not because it's not food safe, but because it doesn't look good and they need to move shelf space, and that's at the retail level, that's at stores. When you go up, you can go to the distributors where an entire pallet, a pallet maybe the size of where you, the room, maybe, you can see me and Michael where we're sitting, a pallet maybe half of this size is thrown away because no one wants to buy it. It's like lettuce or tomatoes, and nobody needs it. Nobody wants to buy it. Watermelon, cucumber, whatever that looks different, that looks ugly. Potatoes that are weirdly shaped. Stuff like that pisses me off. And there are communities, not communities. There are organizations. I forget. I think Mr. Beast did a video on this with a guy from Philly who's fixing this. There's a nonprofit which I know called Novasta, I believe, who's trying to fix this. Yeah, there are people trying to fix this, but it's still a major issue, and I think that a policy that we could enact is sort of similar to the way that we ensure food health safety with spot checks. Health inspector comes to see. And I'm not saying we could look at a completely different area for health inspectors, but just go, okay, take me to the dumpster, open it up, let me just take a look. If I see a lot of fucking I should swear that. I was swearing. That's why I started swearing this time. But people may try to hide it, which is why we may have to have people sift it through, or we may create tools where it's easy to sift through garbage, or when you throw away garbage, take a video, and in that video you can clearly see, okay, what's being thrown away. Something like that, where it's regulated, saying, oh, unless this food is bad, not fit for human consumption, it has to be donated to this nonprofit, this food shelter, whatever. Because I think Michael might allude to this later, Dunkin' Donuts, their policy, they fresh donuts every day, but they are required to throw it away every night because of food safety issues, because they are afraid that if they deliver to some sort of shelter and someone gets sick from it, that they're going to get sued. And I think ways we can like solve that issue is one. I think we need to accept like I believe some what Good Samaritan law is. It's basically like if someone's dying, someone's choking, and I'm not licensed, but someone's choking, no one's around, and I will get the Heimlich and accidentally like hurt them more. I will not be responsible for it. This is a true law because I tried to help the person. So, for example, Duncan, like, they are trying their best. They have their standards to keep food safe. Like, they have the standards to keep food safe. Just donate like that extra food to whatever place because they can. And like right now, this might get some Dunkin' employees out there because I know that you guys get to take home the extra donuts at night, but there are times that I've seen 100 pounds of donuts. Like they're light too. Like 100 pounds of donuts. Like 4 huge bags of donuts.
Yeah.
So that's my policy fix. I don't know if Michael has anything different he wants to say, but yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I think I'll also add the fact that we should hold these commercial companies accountable for the amount that they do throw away, right? I think I 100% agree with all the policies, like the making of the policy that Ethan talked about. But the caveat that I would add on to that would be that when this inspector comes to check the produce, to check the amount that these commercial companies are throwing away.
If they violate.
Exactly. Fines.
They're not jail time. It's not jail time. It's a
civil.
Yes.
I think that there should be like some repercussions for the amount that these commercial companies are throwing away, and to that, this will obviously these commercial companies in the long run is going to be impactful for the company, so it will kind of force these companies financially to stop throwing away as much food. I think that's the only thing I'd add.
Yeah, I believe that I don't know the exact quote. Someone can correct me on the number, but the U.S. I know this. I know the U.S. grows over 100% of what it needs every year. I know the world grows over 100% of what it needs every year. It's through these distributions and these commercial waste that's being thrown away. Now, again, we said in America that 35 to 40% of food waste is commercial. Now, the reason we're tackling commercial is because in the commercial market, it's so much easier to tackle than the residential market or the retail market. That can be a later step if it's shown that need be that we have to go fix this residentially. But the easier solution is to hit commercial practices, and I think that if we do that and we can see the effects, if it's evident that a lot more is needed, then we will we'll revisit this at a later time.
Yeah.
But I might create a policy brief for a competition. There's a policy brief competition coming up, and I might do this.
Yeah. And I think to that, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Yeah. And I think that
I got this. So next time, so we're thinking of two different sets of topics. Next time, we will either expand on actions that Trump has taken that propels him above the other two branches of government, if allowed, or we will talk about his how he has dealt with the Israel-Gaza war as well as the Russia-Ukraine war. So, if we put this out and we get enough responses, I don't know if we will. If we get any level of response,
we may have some. Hold on.
If we get any level of response on which one someone might prefer, then we'll go for that. But I think next time, me and Mike will discuss off camera, which one we want to go for, and we'll decide that, and you'll find out. But I think we can guarantee that the third episode will be the other topic,
of course,
subtopics.
And again, me and Ethan cannot stress how much we thank anyone for watching this podcast. Hope you guys will see you next time. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever else you hear this podcast from. And we will see you next time on
Beyond
the
Part. We just got the name today.
Sorry, we just got the name. I'm thinking Beyond the Bell. No.
Okay. Sorry. We'll see you next time on Beyond the Party Lines.
Beyond the Party Lines. Hold on, wait. Say it together.
Beyond the
Party Lines.
That's terrible.
I know it is.
All right. So just to clarify, we'll put this on Instagram. We'll put reels on Instagram. We'll put clips on YouTube. We'll post the whole thing on YouTube, Spotify, maybe Apple Podcasts. I'm not sure yet. And probably clips on TikTok.
Clips on TikTok. We're everywhere.
We just want to grow as fast as possible, and we want to help as many people as we can.
Yep.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day or night.
Or even
47 minutes.
That's beautiful. But it's gonna be a hell of an editing. I think it was good.
It's really not. I don't think it will be.